Patricia had once dreamed of marrying John, but now she wanted to divorce him more than anything else. And most importantly, Patricia had no good reason to do so. John was not a drinker, not a cheater, and he never allowed himself to say a harsh word to his wife. He always gave all the money he earned to Patricia. Another woman would have been happy, but Patricia still lacked something. In fact, she was just terribly bored. No emotions, no tumultuous displays of feeling. Everything was calm and ordinary. "Patricia, how can you talk like that? Everyone dreams of such a husband," said her friend Helen more than once. "If you're bored, then give birth to a child. You won't get bored with him." "I don't want children from him. Do you understand? Look, we have a man working in our company, Tristan. Handsome, successful, and as he looks at me, so the head goes around. Tristan is very different, not like my John." But Helen could not understand her friend. She had suffered from her ex-husband so much that even remembering was scary. He was always out having fun. He spent all the money he earned on himself and his buddies. Helen had long tolerated, but could not stand it one day and kicked out the good-for-nothing hubby out the door. And now Helen did not understand what Patricia lacked with such a perfect husband, but she could not change her friend's mind. One evening, during dinner, when John, as usual, was telling Patricia about what happened in the day at work, she suddenly told him, "John, I'm tired of living like this. I want to divorce you." "Do you have someone?" asked John quietly. "No, but I surely will have," snapped Patricia into a shout. "I'm sick of everything. I want a bright life filled with emotions, not this dull existence beside you. Look at you. The other man would have yelled after everything I had said, would have destroyed everything here, but you sit quietly." And then John suddenly stood up, threw off all the food from the table silently, and stepping on the plate with his foot, went out of the house, slamming the door. Patricia slowly sunk to the floor and cried for some reason. John never came home again, and a few days later Patricia received her divorce papers in the mail. Patricia was now living a free life, and the first thing she did was the seduction of Tristan. They spent a couple of nights together, and Patricia, filled with new emotions, decided that she could count on a serious relationship with Tristan. So she firmly decided to take the initiative and surprise the man. One evening, Patricia took a bottle of champagne and went to Tristan's house. Her imagination had already drawn before her pictures of a romantic evening with her lover, but when the door was opened by a little girl, Patricia was confused. She asked for Tristan, and the girl came into the depths of the apartment shouting, "Daddy?" Tristan looked out of the kitchen, and it was clear that he was cooking something. When he saw Patricia, his face contorted with rage, and shouting insults, he slammed the door in her face. Patricia felt terrible. She went outside, and there she recovered a little. She was terribly sad and ashamed, and she blamed herself for her stupidity and naivete. The next day, when she came to work, she found out that she had been fired. The woman tried to explain something, but no one wanted to listen to her, and she had no choice but to pack her things and leave the office. The last thing she had seen when she left was Tristan's sneering face. For the next few months, Patricia unsuccessfully tried to find a job. Finally, she found a job at a school with a small salary, and she was very pleased even about it. 2 years passed. Bruce, a night watchman at the school, started to woo her nicely. He was from the countryside, lived in a rented studio, and worked in a furniture factory and as a watchman on a part-time basis. Flowers and sweets did the trick, and soon Bruce moved in with Patricia. After settling in with her, he used to be romantic at first, but then things changed. He often yelled at Patricia, criticized what she cooked, forced her to economize on everything, although he always spent most of their common money on himself. Patricia repeatedly tried to kick him out, but he flatly refused to leave such comfortable, free accommodation with all the advantages. Patricia realized that she was gradually going lower and lower. She began to look bad and she gained weight. Yes, Now she was constantly on emotion, but she did not enjoy it at all. And then one day a fat, middle-aged woman appeared on the doorstep of her apartment, and she called herself Bruce's wife. A serious scandal was impending, but Patricia was fortunately able to push the couple out the door to make them sort things out without her. In the evening, she changed all the locks and for the first time could sleep well. She had enjoyed a week of peace and quiet, and then unexpectedly realized that she was pregnant with Bruce's child, a baby from that ignorant and rude married man. For the first time, she realized how much she missed her nice, calm, reliable John. Why had she thought that she would be better off with someone else than she was with him? Cursing herself for her stupidity and short-sightedness, she decided to terminate the pregnancy and went to the clinic. Sitting in line, she suddenly saw John. He was standing at the opposite end of the corridor, studying some papers. Patricia was on her way to him when suddenly a pregnant woman came out of the cabinet and kissed John. He hugged her back, and Patricia got angry, recognizing her best friend Helen in that woman. "Oh, you're so mean," hissed Patricia furiously, stepping towards Helen and John. "So just as I turned my back, you've got your eye on my husband?" John hurriedly steered Helen away from the hysterical ex-wife and said lastly, "Patricia, it's all your own fault." From these words, Patricia jerked as if from a punch. She stood looking after them for a long time and didn't even notice that her turn had long passed. Patricia returned home, feeling devastated and unneeded. She could not eat, sleep, or do anything. In the evening, she left the house almost unconscious and wandered toward the nearest bridge. Once at the edge, she was almost ready to open her palms, but someone's voice stopped her. "It's foolish to dispose of your life this way. One must never give up." "What do you know about my life?" shouted Patricia into the void and saw a man in his 40s come out of the shadows. "It doesn't matter. You're so young and beautiful, and you still have everything ahead of you, not like me." Patricia looked intently at the man and burst into tears. She confessed that she had done many stupid things in life and now found herself pregnant all alone. "Everyone has his own burden. I am barren, for example," replied the man and walked over to Patricia and put his arms around her. They stood on the bridge, realizing that fate had brought them together. Several years passed. Patricia and her new husband, whom she met on the bridge, were living happily together and raising a beautiful little daughter. They were happy to have found each other, and Patricia finally learned to enjoy a quiet, peaceful life and appreciate every moment spent with her family.